For all things outdoors, listen to the father of two, the Jesus-loving TV show hosting Harry, true blood American redneck, Ben Cole.
And listen to the outdoor filming, chef cooking, chocolate milk drinking, John Weissmuller. And we are
Rooted Podcast.
What's up, Rooted Podcast Nation? We are finally back on the mic. Johnny Boy has been out of town, out of the country. Sneak peek. I just told some of our TikTok followers, John, that there was a cool episode coming out today. I told them it was out of the country, didn't tell them where. Just said that your story from out of the country. So, dive right in. Tell us about your trip to Scotland. I want to hear all about it, man. So, first of all, how was the flight, the travel? What was that like?
Travel was long, man. So we were in the air for 12 hours. It took it really took like 22, 24 hours by the time you with layovers and, taxis to the hotel or the Airbnb or whatever. So, it took us 3 legs of flights. The first one and the last one were not bad, hour and a half or so flight, nothing crazy. But the middle one, the long leg, going across the pond, that one there, boy, about 9 hours. And man, it just jacks you all up because, you're flying there. Not only does it take you 9 hours, then I'm 6 hours ahead, whenever I land than where I just was. And then, vice versa on the way back, it's 6 hours behind of where you just left. And it's all kinds of crazy. It's long flights. I mean, those airplanes, they're only so big, even on the international ones. I mean, they're a little nicer, but it's not like you're laying in your king size bed at home, so it's definitely not the most comfortable ride in the world, but nonetheless, the travel was fine. Our flight did get canceled on the way back, so we had to stay an extra day in Edinburgh. But it was really fun, man. I mean, other than the really long flight, you just kind of got to remember to download some shows and games and movies, and just kind of walk around that flight and make friends with the flight attendants, right? Get an extra piece of chocolate or something and move on.
Yes. Well, that sounds awesome. So, I've been out of the country too. I've been to Canada. I've been to Romania, and we laid over in Austria. But, man, you're not kidding. That flight over the pond is difficult. It's especially for a big guy like me. It is not comfortable, and I'm not a first class kind of guy. So I always sit coach or economy or whatever you want to call it. And man, being a big old rascal, and I mean, I'm a hefty dude. I'm thick in the hip. And man, I'm telling you right now, it gets pretty packed in there when I'm trying to squeeze in. And I feel bad for the person next to me. I always hope for, my wife or somebody small to sit next to me so I don't take up so much of the room. It's not like we're just leaning on each other the whole flight.
I hear you.
But man, I tell you, going overseas and seeing some of that stuff is the most beautiful countryside I have ever seen in my life. Man, while we were in Romania, it was just breathtaking, the views. So why don't we do this? Why don't we dive into what was your first impression of the landscape when you arrived at your destination? Like, was it dark? Did you have to wait till the next day to actually see everything? Just give me a visual of what all this looked like.
So I'll explain it like this. We flew into Edinburgh, which is the capital of Scotland. Okay, and that's the city. So one of the first things I noticed there, obviously besides the driving, I get in the cab, the dude's on the wrong side of the car driving on the wrong side of the road for me. So that was wild. But as far as the countryside, there it's, I'm not going to say it's like every city because it's special in its own right. But, there's, stores, gas stations, and then once you get into the city, then it's all sorts of shops and just all sorts of things to do, like the castle and the palace and all these different things. But there the architecture is just really different because the buildings are really old. But with that said, even on the Royal Mile, okay, and if you don't know what the Royal Mile is, I won't go way too deep in the history of Scotland and how this got built. But anyway, on the top of this mile is what's called Edinburgh Castle, okay, and then at the bottom, okay, it goes a mile long, and then I believe the palace is down there at the end. And anyway, on that mile, that's like the place to be, right? All the shops, all the tourist stuff, everybody who's somebody goes on the Royal Mile, okay? So that's like the hopping place. But just outside of that, I mean, you can look at this big mountainous range, this big, huge, nice hiking trail, and you can actually see people like climbing this thing. I mean, they're very, they look like ants, but you could still see them up there. So that was one thing I noticed about Scotland as far as Edinburgh goes. Like, you're not going to go to a city in America, right, and then just look up and see people hiking. For the most part, I'm sure there's a city somewhere, but you get my point. Like a lot of cities, you're not going to go to New York, Times Square, and then look up and see people hiking. So I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah, man, no, that's super cool. So, that's pretty wild to just be able to look around and see all that going on. People hiking everywhere. So, what kind of terrain is it? Is it hilly? Is it flat? I mean, is it row crops? What kind of trees are there? Uh, is it a little bit of everything like we've got here, or what's the difference?
No, so there's no I'm not gonna say there's no row crops. I didn't really see any. Um so whenever we went up into the Highlands, we went to Inverness. Um that's where it got a little more mountainous. Um Definitely some big timber. Uh Also, it was honestly kind of dense in there. Like you could pretty much walk through it. A lot of it, oddly, and I don't know why this is, but a lot of it had a moss floor. A lot of the woods had moss on the ground.
Hmm.
But I tell you this, one of the crazier parts, and I've never seen this before. You always hear the thing like, "Are you a mountain person or an ocean person?"
Mm-hmm.
But in Scotland, you can be both because the ocean goes into the mountains. So like I've got a picture where it's literally just ocean meets mountain. It's
Huh.
the craziest thing in the world to just look at that and you're like, I'm staring at this mountain and yet the ocean's right there. So that part's pretty cool. But no, they really don't have like crops like, like here, like in southern Georgia, as you well know, cotton fields, wheat fields, peanut field, corn fields, all that jazz. um There, it's more sheep, lambs, because wool is a very very big thing there. Uh, mostly probably because it's cold and people need to stay warm. But no, wool is a huge industry over there. So a lot of people raise sheep.
Awesome. So, I did read one thing not too long ago, and I'm going to ask you about the hunting in just a minute, but I did read something kind of interesting. So, from what I see and comprehend, there are laws in place that you cannot own a firearm and you cannot even own a knife. Is that correct? Can you not carry that at all? What is the deal with that? Because I'm not really well versed in that culture. So, do you have any insight on that in particular?
Yeah, so listen, I'm not an expert. Okay, I was in the UK for 2 weeks. I'm not gonna act like I know everything, but um, let's just start with the knife. So, no, you are not allowed to carry a knife on you. just like you can here in America. You know, you can walk into a Walmart, wherever, right, and have that knife on you. In the UK, you will go to jail, and they are not playing around. So yeah, it's not like you get a little fine. No, you go to jail. As far as the gun thing goes, so just in general, like just carrying your pistol on you, right? Like I can't just carry my Glock around. That's a no. But if you have it for a purpose, okay? So like if you were to have it for a what they call a regular legitimate basis, like a good reason, whether it's for work, for sport or leisure, okay, whatever that is, even if you're like collecting guns or whatever, okay, then you have to apply to get the gun. It's like it's something called a 201 form, okay? I'm not going to act like I know what's in that in the questions, but the point is they have to apply for it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then they have to pay for it. So it's like 88 pounds. So that's like $110 or something like that, you know, converted to American dollars. So you have to apply for this, and then from what I understand, that gun is then registered to you. And what I mean by that, because you know, guns are registered here in America too, but like that gun is yours. So like if I had a 30-06, right, that gun, that box of ammo is for me, and I'm the only one who can use it. Like I can't let you use it. If you do use it and you do something illegal, I get in trouble because it's my gun. I mean, I'm sure you would get in trouble too because you're the one who did the illegal act. But it's like that gun is mine. It's my responsibility. So therefore, I also take some blame. But yeah, so you can't just buy a gun to have it. It's got to be in whatever they deem reasonable. I'm not sure what their criteria is on that, but I know it's nothing like America where you can just, you know, walk into a gun shop, do a quick background check, give them the money, and get out of there. It is not like that over there at all.
Yeah, that's pretty wild because, you know, in America, pretty much every redneck, you can go ahead and guarantee they have a gun in their car. I mean,
Oh yeah, I
it's
mean,
just kind of the way it is. Every one
yeah,
of us got something floating around somewhere. But that's wild, man.
it's wild, man.
You gotta have a permit, or you got to go and fill out a form, which we have to fill out a background
Mm-hmm.
check. I wonder if it's kind of similar
Yeah,
to a
this is a
background
little
check.
different, but
Okay.
yeah, because I'm sure they do some sort of background check, but this is more like an application to get permission to own the
Mm,
gun. Not like here in America, I've got permission to own it. You just got to
yeah.
make sure I'm not a criminal or not a felon or whatever. It's
Yep.
like there, that's like I got to make sure you're not that, and you have to have a good reason, not just I want a gun because I'm
Hmm.
allowed to have a gun because I want one because we have a Second Amendment.
That's right.
Not there. You don't. I mean, it's just the way it is over there.
Well, that sounds like a lot of not fun. I'm fond of my Second Amendment right, and
Mm-hmm.
I love guns, John. I love the pew
Yeah,
pews. You know,
dude, I
that's what
got 2
makes.
gun cases here.
Yeah, I do too. You know, that's what makes America so great is, you know, and that's why I think we will never truly be invaded by sea. We'll talk about that later. Um, about what I think's going on right now. We'll dive into that later. But we are, in my opinion, the greatest country in the world because of all of our
For
rights,
sure.
all of our freedoms. You know, we get to tote Glocks or 44 Magnums or whatever we want to tote in our pocket, you know, because we're the land of the free and the home of the brave. And, you know, it wouldn't be this. We wouldn't have such an outstanding country if it wasn't for our men and women of service who spent the time,
Mm-hmm.
who selflessly were willing and did sacrifice their lives. You have all these
Yep, for
folks
sure.
that, did sacrifice and were willing. And, bro, that is the whole reason why we are who we are as a country and why we are who we are as a people and a nation is because of those folks, man. We ride on their backbones, and not enough people give them credit and love like they need to. I mean, I don't know how it is in other countries, but I think that our armed forces should be the folks we take care of the most, especially the guys that, are on
Yeah.
active duty and come home and don't get any support and they need help, I mean, with whatever, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
man, they may not have PTSD or whatever, or they might, you don't know. You don't know what those guys are going through. So, that's what I'm saying. We need to focus on our veterans more in this country, in my opinion. But back to
Yeah, I
Scotland.
agree.
So, what kind of hunting is there in that country? Because it sounds like it's pretty cool, except for the whole gun thing. That's the only thing that would deter me is like, hey, man, I kind of like my guns. I'm going to hang on to them, But tell me more.
Yeah.
So, what kind of critters can you get after over there?
Yeah, man. The big one is stag. That's like their
Oh,
thing. That's like their main thing.
mhm.
You got red deer. You got what's called roe deer, ROE. You also have Sitka deer. I'm probably saying that wrong, but you get the
Sika
idea.
deer, I
We
think.
have those in Maryland. I want to say somewhere
Hmm.
near that DC area.
Hmm.
But I actually saw one in the wild while we were driving through.
Really?
Anyway.
How cool is
Oh yeah,
that?
dude, it was awesome. Cause man, the whole time we're driving, I'm like, dude, I want to see a stag. That's what I wanted to see, and I ended up not seeing a stag, but I did see a Sika deer or Sika, whatever it's called,
Yeah.
on the side of the road. So that was really cool, man. And I just want to touch on this real fast, just a side note. You know how you're driving in America, right? And you look up if you're driving on like a major highway or interstate, and there's just billboards, right?
Hmm.
Business signs up in the
Yeah.
sky.
Yeah.
In Scotland, dude, there's none of that. There's no drive-throughs. There's no billboards. There's no stop signs. Like all they have is roundabouts and road, and it's like that's all these people do, man. It's crazy.
Dang.
So that's just a little side note. Like if you may pass a little convenience store, maybe, and
Dang.
that's pushing it.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
so
Wow.
anyway, we're riding through all the because we drove 3.5 hours to Inverness and then about 3.5 hours to this little town of Carbon,
Yeah.
and then like 3.5 hours back to Edinburgh so we could fly out of there. But through all that trip, I saw that deer, and then so anyway, you got those deer to hunt, and then how to hunt them. As a foreigner, I would say our best way is just to book a guide. I was looking into that a little bit. One day in life, me and my brother-in-law Grant and father-in-law, poor little Richie, we're all gonna go back there and go. Poor little Richie. He's just the most pitiful guy you guys will ever meet, man. One day we're gonna have poor little Richie on this podcast so he can talk to us and educate us. He's well more versed on this whole Scotland thing than I am. Obviously, he's the whole reason we went there, and
Yeah.
he taught me a lot. But anyway, so when I was reading on these guides, you can either use their guns, right, and you go there and then you sight it in and then go hunt, or you could bring your own gun, but you have to pay some fee, right, and it's like a few $100, and it's just crazy all the process you have to do. Like if me and you were to book a hunt here, you would just take your gun and go, and that would just be that. But there,
Yeah.
it's a whole different ball game. It's a whole process. But anyway, yeah, the main things there are stag and Sitka deer.
Wow, that's pretty crazy, man. So the whole reason y'all went, right, was because of poor little Richie.
Yeah,
And wasn't
pretty
that
much.
your honeymoon? Am I correct on that? You're leaving that
Yeah,
little part out. So all you guys out there in
yeah,
listener land, John just got married not too long ago. I was
yep.
very blessed to be in his wedding, and they chose to go to Scotland for their honeymoon with her family, which is awesome. I think that is super cool that they did that. I think that's awesome, man. So how
Yeah.
is the first few months of marriage going? It's pretty good, right?
Yeah, man, marriage is awesome. I I will say this, like living together, that's the big difference, opposed to
Mm-hmm.
marriage. But
Yeah.
it just, for those of you who are thinking about it, it just kind of puts a stamp on things. Like it's just for real now,
Yeah.
because I done told my wife, I said, if you ever get tired of me, you better go take a nap and come back, because that's just how that is. Because
Well, you
we are
know how
in it now.
stubborn, buddy, you know how stubborn I am. My wife is stuck with me for the rest of our lives, whether she likes it or not. So I ain't giving up. I
That's
don't
what
ever
I'm
give
saying.
up on anything, uh,
Mm-mm.
and it's crazy though how marriage is like getting to hang out with your best friend all the time. You have ups and
It's
downs.
awesome.
You're gonna have your fights and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, you come back together and you can just thrive together because you're really
Yeah.
good for each other because your strengths are not hers and hers are not yours, right? And they bring out the best in us, and that's the beautiful thing about marriage and all that, especially when you're trying to live a godly life, man. When I say godly life, I don't mean a perfect life. What I'm getting at is striving to be Christ like,
Mhm.
making an effort to be like Christ, not just, oh, hey, I'm a Christian, I'm perfect. That's not true. It will never be true. We will never be perfect ever on this earth. Now, when we get to heaven, yes, there's no more tears, no more death, no more pain, no more any of that. But right here, man, that's the best we can do is to strive to live a godly life, and doing right by your spouse is the way to do that. Now, one thing that I've noticed and I am no expert in marriage by any means. I have only been married for a little over 4 years. So, I don't know all the ins and outs of it. We're still learning each other, I feel like. Learning each other's
Sure.
quirks and learning each other's habits and what the
And
other
you're
one
ever
might.
changing.
Yes. Yes. I mean, especially me, man. I'm always changing. And she's pretty consistent. She's pretty on the same path all the time. And I'm like, squirrel over here, back over here, back and forth all the time, coming up with new ideas and being ridiculous. And, I'm a dreamer and she is a realist. So she is definitely the one that grounds me on a lot of things that would have tanked and been awful. She's like, no, I don't think you need to do that. So it's just pretty crazy how a woman can do that for you. They were created to be our partners, man. I mean, that's the deal with that, and that's what's so beautiful about marriage is you have your lifetime partner, your best friend, your running buddy, and everybody else
Oh,
follows
that's
suit
awesome.
after that until you have kids. When you have kids, daddy goes to the back of the list. I'm just telling you. And that's okay. That's okay, man, because
Yeah.
mama's gonna take care of them babies. And babies need to come first. It's a hard transition though, but it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life, man. You'll figure it out soon enough. So, guys,
Yeah,
John,
yeah.
like I
One
said,
day.
John just got married. This whole trip was about him going to Scotland with her family or his family now, new family,
Hmm.
to celebrate
Yeah.
their honeymoon and to Would the term Scottish heritage be correct? Am I saying that correct, or how's that
Yeah,
work? What's
yeah,
the draw to Scotland? So
yeah,
it is the heritage. It is the family lineage, right?
yeah, yeah. So the whole deal is like, why would me and my wife take a honeymoon with my in-laws and my brother-in-law? It's like, well, the whole point is Richie is very fortunate and has the ability to take his family to Scotland, where their family is from. Okay, and so Richie is big into all that lineage stuff, all the like ancestry.com and all that. So he definitely just dove into it. You know, figured out where his family's from, and then he likes to go back there and like, hey, this is where our people started. This is the story. So his last child to go just so happened to be my lovely wife Maggie. So he was very kind enough, him and his lovely wife, my great mother-in-law Miss Lisa. So they were generous enough to take us, and we had a phenomenal time. So and we got to learn all about the family history. Is like I said, Rich is very very versed in all of that. So it was just like everywhere we went, like everywhere we went, he just had a story and like a reason and like knew the history about it. So that's the draw to Scotland for them, right? So like for me, my people are from Germany, right? Like I have no ties to Scotland, but I very quickly came to love Scotland just because of its historic uh you know whatever I'm trying to say, just the historical like presence that's there. All the architecture is really awesome. It looks cool. And then just the scenery, because like I said, we drove, 10 hours of it. Like I just, through all the parts of it is how I came to love it. And then of course, seeing where, this part's wild to think about. Like, my wife's family, okay, came from Scotland and my people from Germany. And it's like the things that had to happen, right, for me and my wife to meet at a job that we both had in a little town in Tennessee. Like, if you think about that for a minute, it's crazy. Like, our families had to leave the country, go on a boat across that ocean, go through Lord knows what, get to America, and then somehow or another make it to Tennessee. And, you know, the Browns got here way before uh the Wise Mothers did. But anyway, I'm sure glad we all made it to the same place, and I've got the family I've got now. So I tell you, man, I truly think I've got the obviously a little biased, but got the best wife ever, the best in-laws ever, and everyone's just really super super awesome to me, and it's just a great time. And I was fortunate enough to spend 2 weeks with them. I'm sure they were probably ready to kill me by the end of it, because I was the guy taking all the pictures and being super positive all the time, and you know trying to be
Oh yeah.
positive anyway. There's always a moment or
Oh
two
yeah.
whenever you get 5 people living in a tiny house for a couple weeks together. Some stuff's gonna happen, but it's all
Oh
love.
yeah.
It's all love.
Hey man, look, there ain't no. I don't know what my wife's lineage is, but I do know some of mine. So, uh, my mom's side is pretty much Old Norse Viking, and then my dad's side is kind of English, like the rugged coastal
Mm-hmm.
terrain. So
Yep.
that's kind of what I am is, and I guess that would be Scandinavian is what Vikings were. I'm not sure. And we have Native
I have
American
no
too.
idea.
So somewhere in my sixth, seventh, eighth something grandfather was a chief of the Cherokee Indians dragon canoe or dragging canoe. So he was a war
Mm.
chief. So from what I understand, so um, you can definitely tell it in my dad's side of the family, like his granddad and stuff like that, you can see the pronounced facial features and all that. But that's probably where I got my hair from, is the Viking side, the beard, the long
Makes sense.
locks. But I mean, I could have got it from my dad's side too, because he has a excellent beard, and so does my little brother. But man, it's kind of crazy thinking where and how we both met our wives. And dude, it was 100% a godsend. If it wasn't for God ordaining the meeting of our wives, we wouldn't have them. Because I remember specifically, me and you were driving in the truck together, going to, I think, Texas. It was one of those 15-hour drives. He was like, man, I don't know. I said, John, just stop trying. It don't matter, man. Look, let's just have fun. We're going to hunt. We're going to film this show, and we're going to have a dang good time doing it. We killed a double on the Rio turkeys, which is coming up, bro. The turkey season is upon us. So we got a little bit
coming fast.
So duck season ends tomorrow. Is the last day of duck season. I'm headed to Arkansas. I'm gonna get that going. Good friend of mine, Jeff Robertson, has invited me out, and I'm very thankful for that. So we're going out, and then may do snow goose hunt, me and Ryan and a couple other folks. If I don't know what your schedule looks like, but we can figure all that out. And then, brother, it is turkey season. How excited are you about the turkeys? Yeah, I'm pretty pumped about it.
Fired up about them.
Yeah, man. But to bring that all back to full circle, so I remember specifically sitting in that truck saying, John, don't worry about it, man. Just let God handle it, because he's already got a plan for your life. And you said, okay. And it wasn't, what, a month later, 2 months later?
Yeah, it wasn't long.
Yeah, you met Mags, and then it was just like, huh. Because I think I specifically said, I don't want to hear another girl's name until they're serious.
Yeah, that's
right. And then there's Mags.
Yeah.
And one thing that I've noticed is that she really lifts you up and brings the best out in you, and has more like a good wine is she's helping you be the man that you were designed to be. So I appreciate that. Not saying you weren't good to start with, just saying everybody gets better with age, and when you're working with your best friend, your partner in crime every day, man, there's something beautiful about that. And it's God ordained, because God made man and woman, and in his image. So we are created in his image, right? And that's the beautiful thing of marriage, is that we get to enjoy a lot of things that God has created for us in the marriage scenario. And man, one thing we started doing lately is reading the Bible together. I mean, dude, that is one of the best ways to grow with your wife and your family. I don't know what it does. I don't know how to describe it. All I can do is tell you what it does for me. It makes me feel so close to my wife. It's unreal, man. When you sit there and you talk about God's word together, it's phenomenal. So we're reading through the book of Revelation right now together. I'm a slow reader, man. I was never a really good reader. I was never a really fast reader. I was always real slow at reading, but man, and sometimes that's great, because now I'm taking, this book of Revelation, and I'm taking it, piece by piece, and I'm diving into the study Bible part of it. And she and I are doing that together, and we're conversing back and forth about it, which really,
that's cool.
Really strengthens your relationship, because when Christ is in the center of your relationship, absolutely nothing that the devil does can destroy it, because all he is here to do is to wreck the family. That's all he's here to do. Wreck the family, steal, kill, destroy. He is the master of chaos, man, the master of disaster. And, by keeping your nose in the word the best you can, dude, that's the only way to do it. That's the only way to truly experience marriage at the highest level is to be in God's word together. In my opinion, that's just how it's worked for us. But yeah, man, it's a beautiful thing. You know, it is a beautiful, beautiful thing, and you know, I'm just proud to know you guys, and proud to know poor little Richie. You know, he's a good dude, man. They've been awesome to me.
Oh yeah.
They have treated me just like family since the first time I showed up over there.
Oh yeah. That's what it is over here, man. It's a family oriented bunch for sure.
Yeah.
That's how it
Yeah,
should
no,
be.
man. No two ways about it. Well, Johnny boy, I'm glad that
Oh,
you
hold on.
had a what you got?
I think I want to tell these folks just a little bit more about Scotland, if you don't mind.
Oh no, I wasn't done yet. I was gonna ask
Oh,
you
okay.
another
My bad.
question.
My bad.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you another
Oh,
question.
ask away, partner.
You thought I was done shutting her down, huh? Yeah,
I was
man.
like,
No,
man, old
so
Ben Cole. I said, buddy, I got more to talk about. No, I'm joking.
okay, so what I was saying is Johnny boy, I appreciate you and I appreciate all of our listeners, but let's dive into another
Absolutely.
question that I remember you telling me about that I was kind of bumfoozled with. So, what about
Okay.
the drinking laws in Scotland? I mean, how
Yeah,
is
wild.
that even possible? Like, didn't you tell me like at the age of 5 or something crazy like that you can drink with your parents? Is that correct?
Yeah. So, and this is wild, right? So if you remember earlier, okay, we talked about how you cannot carry a pocket knife, and you can't just go buy a gun and carry it. You can't carry a gun, right? It has to be for
Right.
a legitimate good reason, according to the Scottish government or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, but okay, so just kind of remember that when I'm telling you this.
Yes.
At the age of 5, this is not an exaggeration. It's not a hyperbole. This is just facts. The age of 5, you can drink with your family at your family's house. Alcohol, okay? At age 16, you can drink with your family out in restaurants and, pubs, whatever. At 18, it's like being 21 in America. It's just free for all, do whatever you want. So I just thought that was banana land. Like, so my 5-year-old, isn't allowed to have a pocket knife at any time in their life here. But right now, at the age of 5, they can drink as long as we're there at the house. Like, what in the world? You just give your 5-year-old a dram of scotch? Like, what?
Dude, that's bizarre.
That just blew my mind. That just blew my mind, man. I was like,
Yeah.
what in the world? Like, I'm sitting here not able to carry a knife. Like, I just wanted some sort of protection, and which
Well,
I did
yeah.
have. I had a big flashlight, but
There you
which
go.
that's legal. Anyway, there's a whole thing there.
Yeah.
But it's like I can't carry a knife, but a 16-year-old can be in here in this pub I'm in drinking, as long as they're with their family. It's like it's just different over there, man. It's just
Man, it is.
different.
It is different, you
And
know, and I don't know if there's any studies that go along with the effect of that,
man,
you know, but I can tell you this right
there's
now,
got to be.
a child of 5 years old is not ready to drink alcohol. Their brain is still being
God,
developed.
no.
I mean, I would never,
Yeah.
ever, ever consider giving my
No.
5-year-old
No.
a drink of anything other than maybe some apple juice and maybe a sip of Coca-Cola every now
Yeah.
and then. But, dude, I am not giving them alcohol. And now, do I think drinking
That's
alcohol
crazy.
is wrong? No, I don't. And biblically speaking, it is not wrong. The only thing the Bible says is don't be a drunkard. That's what it says. It does not say that you cannot
Mm-hmm.
have a drink or two. It says don't be drunk. That's the difference is,
Right.
I don't think it is wrong to have a drink of alcohol. I really don't. I don't think it's wrong to have, you know, to do stuff like that. But what I do think is wrong is when it becomes your God and when it starts controlling you. That's my stance on that.
Mm,
So
yeah.
when I'm talking about being 5 years old, though, what I'm getting at is you're not developed. You're not able to mentally process what you're doing, and the alcohol does have an effect on your brain, brain cells. I mean, that is a proven fact. And
Yeah. I mean, it just blew my mind when I heard that, and I was like, that's just
yeah,
crazy.
man, that is crazy.
Crazy.
Wow.
It's like
Huh.
so hold on a second. So the government there, at the parliament, which is like their Congress or whatever, has to
Hmm.
say, like I this is how I imagine it, right? There's just a list of things that they have to vote on, and they're like, age of 5 drinking? As long as you're with the family, cool. Have a pocket knife? That's where I draw the line, man. Nope, I can't. Not a chance. It's like, what in the world
I think
is
I
going
figured it
on?
out, John. I think the reason why they're not allowed to have pocket knives and guns is so they just stick to fist fighting when they're all drunk.
Hey, maybe, that's a good point. I never did
Put
think
your
about
dukes
that.
up,
They're
buddy.
like, just get them.
Just brawl,
That's it.
baby.
Hey,
Just
man,
brawl with them dukes, baby. We ain't gonna
those
have no
people
stabbings
in,
and
in,
shooting
in the
over here.
UK, boy.
Yeah,
That's
they just
it.
want to fight.
Yeah.
They want a bare knuckle brawl over there, man.
Hey,
It's like,
man.
oh, you got a problem with me? We'll square up in the
Oh
street
boy,
corner.
I heard that. I would say the UK does not ever get scared to fight. I guarantee you that.
No,
Those
heck
people are
no.
wild, dude.
I heard that, man.
But I did, man. I still had a great time,
Yeah,
and I'll definitely go back one day, but uh, I'm probably gonna travel just a few new places before I go back there. But
yeah,
I'll
man.
I'll
Well,
probably go back one day in life.
oh, awesome. Well, I'm going with you to kill Red Stag. So, I do have
Me
two
too. Let's
questions
go.
left that I'm going to merge into one. So, I want you to
Let's
talk
do it.
about the different foods and also how crazy is it that venison is sold like normal beef over there, but in the States, you are not technically allowed to sell wild game meat. I'm pretty sure that
Mm-mm.
any restaurant here in the States that has deer meat, bison, whatever, you have to get it from like a pen raised deal. It can't be wild, is from what I'm understanding. It can't be free range. So that is really wild to me, and I'd really like for you to dive into that and kind of tell everybody, what that looks like. I mean, what is that like? Is it in a grocery store? Is it just in the market? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so the whole venison thing, there's some butcher shops around, and some markets, like just a open market, where like your normal market stuff is sold, you know, veggies, whatever. Uh, but yeah, man, venison and lamb, uh, and beef will just be out there, like just there, and I'm like, is this like just just freaking deer that you're just selling? And I asked the guy, he's like, yeah, they're just stag or roe deer or whatever. They
Yeah.
have a variety, but
Mm.
it's like it was just crazy to me. I'm like, you're just straight up selling venison in here. He's like, and he's looking. Of course, the guy's looking at me like, yeah, of course I am. Like, no, dude, this isn't normal where I'm from. You don't just walk into you know a grocery store here and you just buy venison. Like that doesn't happen. you know.
Mhm.
So it was really crazy. I mean, and a lot of their stuff there is made with lamb. Like as far as like shepherd's pie commonly is made with lamb there versus if you bought one here in America, it'd be made with beef. So
Wow.
the weirdest, well, I don't know what the weirdest thing to eat there was. There's a few of them. You got this stuff called haggis. That's very, very popular over there. And haggis, for those who don't know, it's think of it this the simplest way to explain it is it's like a meatball, right? But instead of like ground beef, it's all the organ meats like heart and liver ground up, and then usually mixed with like oats, some seasonings, whatever. And typically it's fried. A lot of stuff in Scotland's fried. Believe it or not, they actually have the worst diet in all of the world. You would think it's America, which we have a terrible diet too, and we also put a bunch of crap in our food, which is a whole nother conversation. But anyway, Scotland fries a lot of their stuff, and haggis is one of them. And of course, I tried haggis. It really wasn't all that bad. It's more of just a mental game. But I wouldn't order it all the time, but I did try it. So there's that. And then there's this stuff called blood sausage, which is exactly how it sounds. It's just like congealed blood, essentially. I mean, it is meat, but it looks as bad as it sounds. And but I did try it. It wasn't that god awful, really. It looks and sounds way worse than it actually tastes, but I definitely wouldn't just order it. If you go to Scotland, I recommend either getting the steak and ale pie or fish and chips, and just keep it simple.
Fish and chips, bro.
Yeah, which obviously, for those who don't know, that's French fries here, because they call their chips crisp over there.
Yeah, it's fried fish and French fries.
Yeah, exactly. And I tell you, dude, I'm gonna make this for you. This dessert. It's called sticky toffee pudding.
Ooh.
I don't know if you've ever had it, but it is freaking delicious. It's sweet. It's got this sauce on it, and then usually it has custard on it too. And oh my, it's just warm, fluffy, moist, sweet deliciousness.
Well, now I'm getting
obviously
hungry.
toffee, like a toffee sauce.
Yeah.
Oh man, it is so good. We literally got that at every place we went, and we would usually. So there were 5 of us. We would usually order 2, and then we would all just get a spoon and race to the center of it, and it was awesome, dude.
Wow.
It was really delicious. But yes, to answer your question about the steaks and venison, as someone whose family owned a restaurant, yeah, you couldn't just, like, if I shot a deer, I couldn't just cut it up and sell it. It's got to be approved through the USDA. It's got to go through a whole process. And so yes, people, there are like wild game restaurants, okay, but they go through a big process. It's got to get all checked through all these different programs, and then it's fine to sell. And it's it's got to be from a farm, yada yada yada. So if you go to a wild game restaurant, it's definitely checked and triple checked, and then got the okay and sold to the public. But it's not just on the counter at a market like it is in Scotland. I promise you that.
Yeah, man, that is pretty wild how the venison is just free for all. Just laying around.
Man, it's very common there.
That's pretty crazy. So I wonder though, is it just whoever kills one wants to be like, hey man, I got some stag out here, y'all want to buy it? Or what? I wonder what that looks like. Is it come from a game preserve or just somebody out hunting, some Joe Blow that's got the contract, for this specific store?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's just hunters selling whatever. I'm pretty sure it's just it's kind of the same deal as America. Like you've got, like, I would say people take their stag, and this dude probably grows stag and has like a meat, like a
processor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So gotcha. He's got a processing shop, and then he takes it to the market guy to sell. That's I mean, I don't know the ins and out of the business over there. I just know I was very shocked whenever I walked into a store, and I mean it was like 3 or 4 of them, and it's just like there's just venison. I was like, I thought it was awesome. I was like, dude, this place is cool. Just selling venison. I like that.
Dude, That is super cool. So I wonder how stag tastes. Did you get a chance to try any stag while you were there?
I did not try stag, and I'll tell you why. I very easily could have just bought, a tenderloin and made those mistakes, but uh, me, poor little Richie, and Grant, we all kind of like collectively decided that when we're going to eat it, it's going to be one that we got on our trip. So
Yeah.
we held off, and we're going to eat it whenever we take it ourselves and have a little more pride, and it just has more of a story to it. The first time I had stag
Yeah.
was when I went to Scotland and I killed it and I, processed it and yada yada
hmm
yada. So
Now, see,
uh
that is special.
hopefully
That
one
right
day
there,
that will happen. Oh
that
my
is
god,
very
yeah.
special when you do something like that, man. That brings a whole new meaning to the hunt. That's what it's about, right? It's about going on a hunt and celebrating with your family, your friends, your closest ones. That is what that is about. It's not about, just going out, oh man, I killed a 1,800-inch stag, man. Killed a
Yeah, I
new
know.
world record stag. That's not what it's about, dude. It's about sustainability and eating. And, we've talked about this 1,000 times before, you know, about what we do
Yeah.
on the land management conservation side. There's more to it than just simply killing a deer just to have the bragging rights, and I think that is very commendable that all of you guys are going to wait until you go back, until you are able
Yep.
to take the stag together and then cut out a backstrap and put it straight on the grill.
Yeah, and then party on, Garth. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be awesome.
Hey,
I can't wait for that. I really hope we can work it out to where, you come
yeah,
and we can film an episode maybe, and I would love to record a podcast in Scotland. I think
yeah,
that would
dude,
be
that'd be awesome.
just awesome.
Yeah, it would be
But
awesome. Well, here's the thing, man. You have been family since day one, and I want everybody out there to know this. I appreciate you, John, because John came on to Rooted
yeah, man.
Television day one. Like, I had no idea how I was going to pay him, if we were going to get paid, if it was going to fail or take off. I had no clue. And I said, John, I don't know what the future holds. I said, but for right now, this is what we got. You're welcome. You don't have to take it, but if you want to, let's roll. And by golly, we did some fun stuff and still doing fun stuff. And
Hmm.
that's been what, 3 years ago now? Is that correct?
Yeah, man. Uh, we we met when I was in college,
Yep.
and yeah,
Last
dude,
year of college, right?
we didn't. Yeah, and we didn't even have a name. It was
Mm-mm.
just like we're filming a show. It's like, what are we gonna call it?
I
I
don't know.
really don't know yet.
Yeah,
And then
thanks to our good
here
buddy
comes Rooted. So
Sean Templeton. He's got the
yeah,
Woods
man,
Viking
shout out.
Barber Shop guys over there in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. So if you are in the area, Nashville, Franklin, Lebanon, whatever area you're in, close to that, you need to go see those guys because they are top notch, top of the line people to start with. And Sean has the heart of gold. That dude loves people and he does a fine job. I mean, he just does a great job. There's no two ways around that.
Yeah.
Every barber he's got there does a phenomenal job. And I'm pretty sure his brother started not too long with him. So, he's got family blood.
Oh yeah, and he's got a second shop in Woodbury, I think is
Yeah,
where it is.
yeah, it's Woods Viking South, I believe. Yep, Woodbury. Now that particular shop
Yeah.
is an outdoor store too. So go
Mm.
there, get your haircut, get your beard trimmed, or like I like to do, a little straight razor on the side of the cheek, and then shop for hunting gear. And two, if you're a bearded brethren like John and myself, he makes some fantastic beard oil and some beard cream,
Yeah.
all that stuff, man. Beard balm, that's what it's called, beard balm. That dude has got it figured out, and it's really good products, and they actually work. And I'm saying that from a stance of, you know, I have actually used his products more than once and still use them to this day. And they make my beard
Yeah.
fluffy and smell good.
Yeah, and I mean, we're not sponsored by them. He's just
No,
he's
just
just
a good
a
friend
good
of ours.
friend, and the reason. I
The
mean, and
reason
he's
Rooted got
you
started.
know, yeah, it's all I mean, obviously God and you know
Yep.
Sean Templeton played a big part, and
Yeah.
a lot of things. It's crazy how life is, man. I had
Yeah,
to
man.
pick to go to school there, and then I had to walk in
Yeah.
that barbershop, and there
Yep,
you go.
you did. And then you had to choose to deal with a hairy redneck for 15-hour car rides, you know.
Oh, buddy,
Oh man, now that's a story
those
for another day.
are. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we can do a whole podcast just on car rides.
Yeah, man. I think, after we dive into the turkey stuff, I think we need to talk about our last trip to Texas. Actually, you know what? Let's just do that in the next couple episodes, is talk turkeys and talk about our trip, because that was the first double for both of us, right? A little sneak peek, guys. Um, that was our very first double for both of us, and we got it
Yeah,
all on film to top it off.
exactly. And you can
Yeah,
watch that right now.
yeah, yeah. You can
Go
watch it
to
right now on Rooted
Rooted
Television.
Television,
Yep,
YouTube.
yep. You can watch it. It's live
So
action over
go
there.
there.
So, um, but yeah, we will dive into that next. So turkey season's right around the corner. I feel like that's where we're headed. And then we're going to do some fishing
Mm-hmm.
talk, some
Yep,
saltwater fishing
always.
talk, and land management talk again. I'm going to give y'all a spill again. And then it'll be time to hit the woods again. So, guys, go with us. We are signing off today, unless John has anything else he wants to talk about in old Scotland. Is there anything else, John, you want to talk about before we ride out of here?
I don't really think so, man. I'll just say this. If you've ever thought about going out of the country, whether it's for a hunt or it's just to go, uh, I would say this, man. Just go. Just figure it out. Just pick somewhere. You don't have to spend a bukus of money and spend all the stuff on, gifts or whatever. And you don't have to fly that $9,000 bed seat. Like you can do basic economy like I did.
Yes.
Like just
Yes.
my thing is just go, just do it. Just go, just and just enjoy yourself. And if you are thinking about traveling, I highly recommend it. It just opens up your horizon, broadens up your point of view, and I think just makes you an overall better person. So if you're thinking about traveling, just do it.
Heck yeah.
That's all
Well,
I
I
gotta say.
agree with that. If you want to travel, do it. Just do it. And we're not
Yeah.
endorsed by Nike either, so maybe we shouldn't say just do
No.
it. I'll say this: do it. Go abroad.
Yeah, exactly.
Go and learn other
Yeah,
cultures,
just go.
other lands. I mean, it's the most eye-opening thing you'll ever do. But with that,
It's awesome.
we are going to sign off here. Now, listen, make sure you head over to our shop, www.rootedtelevision.com, click on shop, and buy a hat, a shirt, a hoodie, or something
Hoodie.
like that. Because, guys, that's what keeps us going, is that and sponsorships. So those two things right there are the reason why we get to do what we do, is the shop and sponsorships. So please head over to our website, and don't forget to download our stuff on YouTube for Rooted Television and the podcast, and on Carbon TV and all of our socials. Thank you, guys. The Redneck is out.
See y'all.
For all things Rooted Podcast and Rooted Television, and I mean hats, shirts, hoodies, and other merch, check out our friends at CH Lone Star Pro and the link that is in our description.